Well, welcome back, everybody. It's Josh, Cassie, Justin, and Drew again here for the Kasper Connect. Once again, we're just trying to bridge the gap between the office and the field and make sure that we all still feel like a family and still feel like a team that works together as a team. And so we're trying to leverage the technology we have in this room and these amazing mics to really connect with you today. So Drew, what are we talking about today?
So we've already covered our mission statement, and so now we're moving into our values. And so our values for Kasper Electric is love, excellence, growth, and stewardship. And so here's the question, because a lot of people might not understand this, but why would a company have values? And I think that's the best question we can really dive in today before we start defining what our values mean to us. So kick it off to you guys. Why would a company have values?
I go back to, it's almost a when. Every company has values. And it starts with the first person, like the owner, if you will, that decides to start an organization. They already have values, whether they state them or not. There's already culture, whether they are intentional with what that looks like with their customer base or not, but there are always values. And so I think about where did we start even talking about what are our values? And it's probably been like 10 years or more. I don't remember when, but when there is growth outside of the first person, the owner that wanted their company to be X and operate like Y, when they hired somebody, there was a need, a necessity for communicating, here's how I want to operate within this organization. Here's how I need you to represent us in this organization. And obviously, the more people you have, the more important that kind of compass, if you will, is the more it's necessary.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of like that old saying, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for everything. Mm-hmm. And so I think it's important for us as a company to be very clear about what we do stand for and how we do want to operate, or else kind of it's the Wild West and everything is okay and everything's acceptable. And so based on who we are and the mission statement that we've walked through, we've looked at, okay, these are the 4 values that people can use as a filter as they're interacting with people, as they're making decisions throughout their day, as they're questioning what's the next best move. Before they walk into a room of a difficult conversation, how do I, love the person well? How, is this an excellent report to submit? How am I helping this person grow, or how am I growing through this conversation? Or, am I stewarding, the resources of the company well? So continually asking those questions as you're going throughout your day, I think is important to do, or else, like I said, you don't have a standard by which to go by. So everything is then okay.
Well, and I think another way to look at it is, as a new employee, when they come in and they're asking themselves, well, you know what, I want to be a good company, man or woman. What's important to Justin Kasper? What's important to the Kasper family? And those values help define that. What is important is loving others, doing everything with excellence, growing, continuing improving, and being a good steward of the resources. That's what's important to this organization.
Yeah.
And it's how we hold each other accountable. Like, again, if you don't have a clearly defined expectation of the values in which you expect people to operate within, you can't likely hold them accountable to operating in those values. So it's important to define them for everybody, I think.
I like, there's a proverb that says, it's out of Amos. It says, can 2 walk together unless they agree on the direction? And so almost in the sense that it's like we're saying these are the ways that really help us navigate, because like for another person, they could have a value of fun. Like I think of Butch, like he could easily have a great value of fun.
That is a value.
Right. And we would say, Butch, totally, we get you.
And he kills it.
Yeah.
He's doing really great at that value.
But what we want to make sure that we're aligned, so that when we're going in this direction, Butch is over here saying, I love fun. We go, yes, there is that, but we're going to prioritize these so that we can all make sure that we're going in the same direction and we arrive at the same direction, because any deviation is going to put us in different places. And so I think even the idea of establishing this gives us the same behavior, right? So what would be the other elements behind this? Like, how does it work for someone when they're processing, thinking about our values?
I'm thinking it's possible, but it's not likely that if you're watching this, you don't already align with our values. So, I mean, it comes in right on the interview process. You know, we're going to ask you questions that have to do with, like, you know, some of the times the guys have pictures of their pipe work, or you know, some of the girls are, you know, showing us something they've done, and it's like, man, that's excellent, you know. And so a lot of times it's like, well, where do you see yourself in 5 years? And they're like, just doing the same thing. I'm like, that's not aligned with our growth mentality. So I'm like, we probably wouldn't even hire that person. So everyone watching is probably already aligned. Therefore, they're acting in accordance, and it may be a couple degrees off every once in a while. So it's a coaching mechanism, you know, that not only coaching, but also accountability. Like we've said it many times, like, if you see me doing something that's not excellent, I would love for you to hold me accountable to our standard. And it's our standard. But I kind of think of it as a compass a little bit. It's like, sometimes you may find yourself in a place you didn't think you were there. What are you going to get out? You're going to get out a map or a compass. And this is kind of our map and compass of, like, all right, to get out of this situation, I need to do this. And that's a little bit different for everybody. So I know Butch is going to use fun, but he also does use excellence, growth, and stewardship, and love well too.
And I think it's a mechanism for consistency and unity, because whether you're in the field, in the warehouse, in the office, we are all, you know, working under the, you know, Kasper Electric name. And so if you're an outside person, a vendor or a contractor, you're going to get the same tone, the same culture, whether you're talking to somebody in the office, in the field, in the warehouse, whether they're a foreman, whether they're an apprentice, you're going to get that same culture. So it's not like, okay, over here you're going to get this type of Kasper people, and over here you're going to get this type of Kasper people. It kind of generates this unity. I almost think of like it with the like all the franchises. It's like, you know, they have these specific things so that no matter where you go, you're getting the same, you know, impact and the same result. And I think that's another benefit of having values, is it unifies it across the board. So no matter who you're talking to within the organization, you're still getting that same Kasper feel.
And maybe another word that you could use for values is standards. Like, here is our minimum standards, and this is what we expect to represent Kasper. And even in decision making, you had a great analogy that allowed me to picture it really well. And I'll plead the fifth, but, you know, when we're talking about bowling, I may or may not ask for them to put the bumpers up, right?
Yeah.
When we're bowling.
Yep.
And so the idea of
Bumpers,
it's kind
really,
of
Josh?
Yeah,
Bumpers?
No, I didn't say I did.
Takes the stress out of the game.
Yeah, makes it a lot funner, you know.
Yeah.
But it allows you to kind of have some bumpers or guardrails for decision making.
Yeah.
And so, for example, and I've been held accountable personally. Josh, how is that being a good steward of the money of this company, right? And so maybe if you guys want to speak more into that
No, absolutely. Because, like, I think you're right. Like, it's like, you know, the guardrails go up, and we're asking people, like, hey, go knock down the pins. That's your job. Knock down the pins. But we don't say, throw the ball this way, throw the ball that way. Like, it'll operate because the guardrails, the values are there to keep everybody within the way, and then they can throw it as fast, as slow, as bumpy as they want it to go, but it gives them the availability just to be in the same lane. And so you're absolutely right. I think there's that level of consistency, but I mean, it reflects in the decision factors. Like you were saying, how it's the way that we make decisions. And so do people need to take the time to process that? Like, is that a constant thing that they need to be thinking about?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's like with a muscle, like the more and more like you do something and work it out, it's just muscle memory, but it takes a while to get there. And so as we are, you know, relaunching our values, I think it is a good idea to take the time and go, okay, is what I'm about to say, is what I'm about to do, is the work I'm about to perform, is the conversation I'm about to have aligning with love, excellence, growth, and others. And so it'll feel time consuming and maybe difficult at the start, but as you continue to do that, and as you just kind of continue to operate in those standards, it'll be like riding a bike. You know, it's just going to be part of your normal, you know, daily activity. And like Justin said, most of the people that work here already operate within these standards most of the time. And when we don't, we usually call each other out on it. So I don't think we're asking anybody to do something outside of what they're actually probably already doing. Because I think everybody here does a really great job of exuding these values to begin with.
I think we're all willing to admit that there's times when we do something and then after we hang up the phone with somebody, an angry GC, and we're like, eesh, yeah, that probably didn't exude love how I responded. So we're not perfect.
Yeah. So as I think about that, I think of the WWJD bracelets, right? What would Jesus do? And it's like an interesting reminder. And if you wear it for a little bit, eventually you actually start thinking that way. I think one of the best things that we could do as an organization, and it's one of the initiatives that you have coming up, is catching, like, so you said this once, like the easiest way to identify fraud is not to study the fraud. It's to study the real thing.
Yeah.
If you can find and send pictures or videos of your coworkers exuding love, excellence, growth, and stewardship, like if you get good at picking it out for your coworkers, you're going to get really good at doing it yourself. And so I think that's the best activity that we can do as an organization to hammer culture deep, is to just keep catching people doing it well.
It's like when you buy a car and you never see the car, but then once you buy it, it's like there's
Everywhere.
a million of them on the road.
That's awesome.
It's the same way. It's like now that you're doing it, it's like you're just gonna, and you're thinking about it, you're gonna see it everywhere.
Well, keep finding it. Send them in. Soon we're going to have an app that they can do that
Start
regularly
shouting it out.
and shouting people out. But I think that's the best way to do it. And we've got a bunch of all-stars out there that already exude this. So I'm really excited to see the videos and then you guys just crushing it, and as a value-driven, mission-focused company. Thank you so much. We love you. See you soon.